Hey, Talon here with Bronco Buster. We're here at Bracken Machine Shop today. We're actually getting ready to put a body lift on this Bronco. It's Jake's from Tyndale Ford. It's just gonna basically mimic these. So that's what we're getting ready to do. So guys, all stay tuned and we'll show you the process of it. Right here in the camera shop. This is the tools and everything you need to do the body lift. So the first thing is a 10mm ratchet, and this is only used for the relocation bracket on the ground. Impact, like always, we love power tools. Then we have a 15mm socket, 18mm socket, and then a 3/4. So when we take the factory bolts out, the rear 6 will be the 15mm and the front 2 are an 18mm. When we put the new ones in, we actually go to a 3/4. That is what we need. Here's our pucks, and then here's our bolt assembly. So we'll get into this install.
So one of the cool things is you guys get to see behind the scenes right now as we're doing the pre-production parts. This is before it goes out to market, so it doesn't have our branding. It's not quite as, I guess, pretty and packaged as you're gonna get, but it gives you a good idea what we're doing here.
First thing we're gonna do is we're going to disconnect one of the ground wires. It's really the only wire it's the only thing you actually have to disconnect with our body lift. And basically we have a little extension that extends it so it's not tight. So first thing we do is you pull these 2 clips out of the frame. And then it's this ground wire. So there's one up above and there's one below, and it's this lower one. Okay, so after you get the bolt out, there's a locator piece right here that's in the frame, and you basically have to wiggle it, and it'll pop right out, and then you just leave that hanging here for now.
4 body points on each side of the vehicle. You have one right here. There's one right in front of the wheel well underneath there. Then you have one right behind the wheel, and then one right in front of the wheel. So that's the 4 locations that we're going to be taking those bolts off so that we can then lift up one side of the vehicle.
We take the 15mm, and it'll be the rear 3 will be a 15mm bolt, and then the front 2 are actually 18, and it's driver passenger, 1 on each side. The rest are the 15, and so we'll just zip these out real quick.
So the reason why we're only removing one side is because most of you guys don't have a lift in your garage, and so we're trying to create the most realistic scenario how you can put this body lift on without taking it to a shop, without having to spend thousands of dollars on a suspension lift, because like we talked about in the other video, the problems that this solves is we're able to lift the Bronco for bigger tires without changing the geometry, so this is a great solution.
So no, for the front, it makes it easier if you have a wobbly little extension, but if you're using a ratchet, you can get in there just fine. So now that we've got this one side of bolts out on the body bolt, all we're gonna do is jack this up. So you get it up, and the easiest way to test is you just put that in, and voila. And you start just going with all your pucks and basically putting them just in a rough area. So kind of a note, if you run out of room, because wherever you put your jack, put them in, we'll get the bolts started in them, and then we'll reset and basically put it so we can actually lift up the front or the back, depending on which one you run out of room in. Now that we got our bolts, we basically run them up in, and what I like to do is just get them started. You'll just get them hand tight.
Make sure those threads are not cross-threaded. That's the most important thing. You don't want to mess up the threads up inside the body. Talon, do we want to put any anti-seize on it?
Is if you look right here, you basically have the wiring harness. It wraps around the outside of that body mount. What we've done is we actually, with this body lift, we take this plastic piece out. What I found that's easiest is we just kind of pry this all out. And as you can see right here, so it goes into that loom, then opens up to bare wires, and then if you look back here, this is where it comes back to loom. And so what we've done is we're eliminating this piece, and We'll encapsulate this in loom. The loom will be provided, and we'll actually put it on the inside of the shock mount. So the easiest way to get this piece off is it's got a top on it. Basically, you stick your screwdriver in the hole and you just break it. And so see, as you see it pop off, reusing this at some point or going back to stock, I mean, you can make it work without doing that. For our purposes, we have no intent of going back to stock ever, so all it is us getting rid of it. When you get this kind of started to have this cap cover off, basically you'll see two zip ties, one here, one in the back where it exits. And so what we do is we just take a pair of dikes and you break that, and then that whole wiring harness should start to come out like that. And that's it. Basically, you're taking that out. With this loom, you open it up, you just kind of slide it over. This is how you do it. So we've got the loom on. I have went ahead and already wrapped it with electrical tape. You want to make sure when it comes out of the loom, wrap it really secure and snug there on both ends. And I just wrapped it around just to hold everything in place so you don't have any wires showing or exposed. This is the keynote when I say you're relocating this bracket, because this, you know, originally went on the outside. We hit this sometimes in the off-road industry when we're running 40s. So why we've done this is you basically pull this body lift mount out, and now it goes on the inside, basically like this, and then you'll put your mount, and then we'll actually zip tie this up so it's out of the way, so you will no longer be able to hit that wiring harness and rip something out or damage something on your vehicle. The front body puck on, and this is the one that we do use a smaller bolt. It'll be different colored when it comes in packaging for that reason, just so you guys can tell the difference. We got the two fronts, different color. They'll be this blackish color. The 6 rear will be a silver color, and so it's easy for you guys so you guys don't get sizes mixed up because it is a smaller size. The rear 6 bolts, you cannot get those bolts. We've called manufacturers all across the United States, so we actually machine them in-house to make it work for this. So when you're putting them in, make sure that nothing's cross-thread, they're going in easy, you know, a little bit of anti-seize, for the sheer fact they're very difficult and expensive to machine, so just be cautious of that. We got all our pucks in place, bolts started, we set the vehicle down, and so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten up this side. The driver's side was the most complex side because you have to remove that ground, you have to relocate that wiring harness, but you're talking like we were 15 minutes probably doing this side, another 15. For some guy in their garage, you're talking you can have a 3-inch body lift within 40 minute install from start to finish. The phenomenal thing that it does is you're not changing any angles of any of your front end, and you're getting the clearance to run 37s. So this is the ground extension that we put in up under here. Earlier in the video, you've seen us take it out. So basically what you're gonna do is you'll put the one side back into the frame, and then where the hole is, on the one you took out originally, you'll be putting this bolt basically through both of those and locking it down, and that'll give you an extension for your ground. We're putting this bolt and this extension back into the original place, and then what we'll end up doing is connecting this ground, or that extension, back to the original one, and we'll put a bolt through it, a nut and bolt. So basically it's giving the extension, or compensating for the 3-inch body lift. For the front bumper relocate, the first thing we're gonna do is we actually pull these tabs off. We have this little tricky tool. You can use a flathead screwdriver if you need to. There's 4 of them aside. So you have the 2 lower ones and these 2 upper ones. Pops out. So the one thing when you're taking this bumper off, this wire right under the driver's light, you disconnect that, that's for your sensors. You do not have to disconnect this one, so this is the one you need to undo.
If you don't have sensors on yours, then of course this step doesn't apply.
And then next step, we'll actually take these 3 bolts out. You can see, and then that whole bumper should come out. So I'll grab the impact. So in this next step, I'd grab a buddy or two, just when you take this bumper off so it doesn't drop, or else you guys can get creative and, you know, put it on some blocks or something that just allows it so that doesn't fall. Okay. Our next step is we're basically gonna remove this original bumper bracket, and this is note on the modular bumper. Then you take a 10 millimeter and we'll take this off, and that's one of your hooks. And a note on the fronts, they are universal. So a right side, left side, it's just the same. So the one thing we do have to do is on this, we remove these clips. They're like this, and basically we'll put them right there so we can reuse the same mounting hardware. Every bumper that we've had installed so far with this product has been heavily off-roaded and tweaked, so we have to compensate for that. This one's been majorly tweaked.
Good point to show that depending on how much you've used your bumper, you might have to do a little tweaking.
So right here, you can see that he's actually tweaked that whole subframe, and then if you look here, this is all bent as well. That is technically supposed to be straight.
I thought it was brand new.
Yeah, brand new.
Okay.
Okay, so now we take the other side off. Okay, now we're ready to remount. So then basically these should sit like that.
Yeah. I'm just gonna stick one there. Can't go out with that. So you recommend this being 2 people?
Yes, definitely recommend this one being 2 people. And this is the part where you actually go in and reinstall this. The way to get the relocation, we weren't able to actually have it to where you could inset a 10 millimeter screw again on our bracket, is as you go take this up, you'll end up using, if you look here, this hole was not used during the original installation. We actually used the 2 bottom holes on this bracket, and then if you look right here, raise that up. So if you raise that up, the 2 bottom holes will go in the upper portion, and then we'll run straight through our bracket there to help still reinforce everything. And this one, a lot of times you just have to do by hand because it's in a non-power tool friendly area.
So Jake, did you know that your bumper was that bad?
Yeah. I smacked it a couple of times.
Surprised it wasn't worse, huh?
Yeah, I am. I'm surprised it wasn't worse.
So once these bolts are tightened down, you can go ahead and put these covers back on. I just reinserted those little plastic pieces and tapped them into place, so it's a pretty easy deal there.
So finally, you know, after you get the bumper reinstalled, everything done, don't forget to plug in your sensors, or else you'll have lights flashing in the cab. And there you go. There's the front bumper relocation. Unfortunately, on this vehicle, they have an aftermarket bumper, so we're actually going to fab something up just to relocate that one. So you will not see in this video, it'll actually be a different vehicle. We show the rear bumper relocation brackets. I just want to thank everyone for watching, and for the new customers and new people in this, we welcome you to the Bronco Buster family. I mean, we're a family here. We try to tackle everything together, and we appreciate all you guys watching and your liking and subscribing to our videos.